Anybody want an agenda?
Yeah. We can share that. Yeah, we can share that. Okay.
So you've got,
Would the people online who are here to make presentations, please raise your hands. Okay, I'm sorry, I have to get the spreadsheet now since Eugene's not here, but I won't be a moment.
you don't have Acrobat? Why isn't it page by page?
Elevate Keith Buckley, please, and then we can start.
I'm sorry, Keith?
Keith Buckley.
I don't
And
see-
would everyone lower their hands, please, and anyone for 38 Bedford Street. Sometimes there's more than one person involved.
I'm sorry, I don't see a Keith anything.
Do you see anyone, any hand raised?
I have Paulino, excuse me. Paulino, are you here for, what are you here for? You need to unmute.
Hi, good evening. Yes, I'm here for 465 6th Avenue, actually.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I made a mistake there. 6th Avenue. Okay. Is anyone for 66 Perry Street? Please raise your hand. Barbara Lombard.
Barbara Lorber?
Yes,
Okay.
Janelle, is that Barbara Lorber?
yes.
Yes, Brian's saying yes.
Owner.
And Barbara, is anyone else from your office here? Isadora Cruz.
Barbara, you need to accept the promotion to panelist if you're going to present.
Yeah, Barbara should be elevated so we can talk to her.
I'm trying, but she has to accept. Okay. I think she's got it now.
Hello, Barbara, you're muted.
Muted.
Here we go.
Okay, now you are. Is there
Now we're
anyone
good.
in your office here?
Say again, Janelle, I'm sorry.
Hold on. There we go.
Okay.
Yes,
You're both together on the same.
yes, we
Okay.
are on the same screen. We're together. Thank you.
Okay, and you're prepared to share your presentation?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. If you could go, you have the ability to share the screen.
And here.
Okay. Hold on. Where do we do that?
Okay, you all just organize your screen share and I'll begin. The recording is in progress, right? So,
Yes, sir.
okay. This is Community Board 2 Manhattan Landmarks Committee, the second of 2 December meetings.
It doesn't let me do it.
And
hold on.
we have 7 presentations. The important thing to know is to be as brief as you can. Ensure that any examples that are given for comparison are from nearby the subject property and are approved by the Landmarks Committee or clearly historic from the time that the building was built. The first application is for 66 Perry Street to install a stoop gate. Okay, we're ready for you. Can you go to full screen for your screen?
Full screen.
Oh, okay, that's it. Okay. We may ask you to.
It just keeps
So carry on.
bouncing around.
Yeah, you can
There it
begin.
is.
There it is.
We have it now, sir. Thank you for your time this evening to review the installation of a stoop gate at the foot of my brownstone at 66 Perry Street. I'm working with a wonderful young architect, Isidoro Cruz, who is sitting here with me, who will review the design plan with you and answer any questions you may have about it. The gate would be made by Handco Welding. They've done a fair amount of ironwork restoration in the West Village. Our goal is to create a gate that blends with the existing railings, fence, and restored facade. So why do we need a gate? The front of my home appeared in the Sex and the City TV series as the exterior of Carrie Bradshaw's apartment. It was my fault. I felt sorry for the young location scout who was a recent grad from NYU Film School. He told me if he didn't secure this house, he would lose his first job in the business. At the time, no one knew the show would turn into anything long-lasting, much less the iconic fantasy vehicle and touchstone for New York City's magic that it has become. My home is now a global tourist destination. The show is in endless reruns in 34 different languages, increasing an already massive fan base, coming to my stoop from throughout the United States and around the world. At any hour of the day or night, there are groups of visitors in the front of the house taking flash photos, engaging in loud post-social media, making TikTok videos, or just celebrating their moment. The 6th Precinct advised me years ago to put a chain across the base of the stoop with a large "No Trespassing Private Property" sign. It helps, but not enough. Many visitors respect the chain, but many more do not. They climb over the chain, pose, dance on the steps or lie down, climb to the top of the staircase to stare in the parlor windows, try to open the main entrance door, or when drunk late at night, they ring the doorbells. We've also had graffiti painted on the steps and initials carved into the main door frame. After 20 plus years of hoping that the fascination with my stoop would die away and fans would find a new object for their devotion, I've acknowledged that we need something more substantial. In order to regain a semblance of quality of life for our tenants and ourselves, we do need to install a proper gate. Thank you for your time. I'd like to turn this over to Mr. Cruz now, who will take you through the design proposal.
Mr. Cruz, you can skip any examples, otherwise we're well familiar with this phenomenon, this probably being the most exaggerated one in the whole village. And just show us, if you would, your proposal and how it fits into this house. Thank you.
Okay. So I can go straight to the design without,
Yes,
I
please. Thank
guess,
you.
introducing the entire neighborhood, but
Yeah.
location,
We know where it
there
is.
is our location there, as you can see on screen. Okay. Okay. Well, I'd like to present to you the three images showing the before and after images and the changes that the house went through. Anyway, you know that 66 Perry was designed in 1866 by the architect William Hume. You can see that in the tax photo, he this is just before World War II. The high stoop and round arch doorway were still in place. This is just pre-World War II. By 1978, the center image, at the time that the home was purchased by the current owner, the original stoop, the areaway, and the ironwork are all gone. Okay. And so far in the last image, which was taken just a few months ago, you can see that all the restoration at the time approved by LPC was completed back in the early 80s. Okay. We can go on with the gate design.
Next screen,
The gate design we proposed tonight, as you heard from Barbara, serves a necessary and practical function. But while it serves as a visual and physical barrier, it must complement the design language of the home. In terms of design, the gate uses the original cast iron panels used on the fence and stairs. The panel keeps the same visual cues that are seen on other homes in the neighborhood and the visual appeal that the West Village is known for. Okay. So looking at the overall gate design, the arch that you see there at the top of the gate echoes the arch in the main entry pediment and the curved window lintels. And I think that's one of the main features of the home. The Greenwich Village Historic District designation report claimed that number 66 has the most beautiful windows, and I think most people would agree with that. See, the cast iron panels in the gate, the 6 panels you see there in the gate, gradually increase in height toward the center of this 2-leaf design. Now, following the curve and moving to the right of the gate diagram, you'll see the photoshopped image with the line drawing of what the gate would look like once it's fabricated. Can you all see that clearly now?
Enlarge the image so we can see
Here, let's try that.
get the Photoshop thing in our clear view.
So the line drawing shows more or less the
That was fine,
proposed.
thank you.
Good. Okay. So where am I here? So the gate has a fixed leaf, obviously on the left, and that is closed most of the time, locked most of the time. The one on the right is the one that we can that is used regularly. Now, the one on the left we can open for moving days, just in case. Oh, oh no!
Ahead of yourself.
No, it's something's going on here. I'm not sure what it is. Oh, come on! What are you doing? There.
Okay. Thank you for resolving.
Okay. So the leaf on the right has soft closed adjustable hinges. So no slamming. No one can accidentally leave it open. You have free traffic on the sidewalk. It's less than 2 feet when it extends past the first step. It doesn't really take up a whole lot of room on the sidewalk. Now, on a more technical level, the gate would be using cast iron panels fabricated by the Architectural Iron Company using molds from the original 1983 restoration. And in that way, no part of the overall look is disturbed or markedly different, achieving the same seamless quality. Okay, let's move on to the next page. Here.
There you go.
So here's your aerial image of other properties in the neighborhood that have LPC approved gates. Now, these are all within the neighborhood, of course. And these are all LPC, as I said, approved gates that exist now.
And your pictures. And
Now, I can show you on this next page.
We're fine with that. You can go on along.
note that this
Yeah.
one.
What was it?
We're fine with the need and the example that there are others and so forth.
Okay, so Grove Street is one of those who has a new gate that appears like it was born there, which is great, because that's what we're going for. But they also have the issue of just too many visitors.
Friends.
Friends, right? They're known for Friends, the TV show. Any questions?
Brian, we are the entire,
Well, I just have a comment, and that is when I saw all the excellent restoration work that you did to the house when you first bought it, that alone, I think, speaks volumes about your dedication and your commitment to really following the historic examples. And so I find no fault with this, and I certainly see the need for it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you.
I must say, I live just on 10th Street in the same block, and I had never realized about the history of it, and I always assumed it was original, so that would,
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Wow.
and I think you've done a nice thing with the curve, sort of reflecting the curve of the top, and that will certainly help your particular immediate problem.
Awesome. Nice to hear. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next is 241 West 4th Street.
Chenault, before we move on, do we normally ask for either public or other, I don't know, some other commentary? Is that usual?
I'm sorry.
Is it usual to ask for public
Well, yeah.
questions?
Is there? I haven't found members of the public.
Breaking up.
If there are any members of the public who wish to comment, raise your hands, please.
Anybody in the room? No one in the room.
Okay. I believe everyone I saw was an applicant, but you're right. Yes. Okay. That disposed of that one. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure, thank you. Okay. Stop share. Let me just stop the share. And now they can take the screen.
Okay. If you can,
We need to get off the screen.
unelevate them and elevate 241 West.
No, I think we're off. We're not sharing.
Still on. We need
And
to
You're
go
just
to-
on
4th Street should be.
No. Oh,
She should be there instead of us.
no.
Michael
It's not.
Tino.
She's here.
Hello, good evening.
Hello.
Shall we wait for the previous applicant to,
No, I think you overtook it.
How did we get out of here?
Oh,
Maybe.
can you all turn off, please? The Berry Street people, can you just turn off your, like,
thank you, good evening. My name is Michael Patino. I'm an architect. I have an application before you for 241 West 4th Street. May I share my screen?
please?
Would you kindly grant me the green
You
chair privilege?
So the fact that you're on, you should be able to. You not have.
Okay, let me,
Has Michael been elevated? Valerie, we found all at once that Eugene's not here. Perhaps you can help us about the elevating people.
I'm getting the hang of it, so it's taken me a bit.
Trying to speak to the fire on all fronts here, in the room, online.
If Valerie could be made a
I can be in just a second, yeah.
oh, do you have that ability now?
Okay. Michael has permission to talk, and I promoted him to panelist, I thought.
Michael, you still can't share your screen, is that correct?
That's correct. I don't have the pop-up yet.
We'll be with you in a moment.
Thank you.
Are we waiting on someone?
Mark, about
Why does this not work?
I think we should try to get Mark back.
Okay.
Have you been made a co-host, Valerie?
I'm gonna make
Oh.
my one. Give me a second. Let's see. Where am I at? Oh, that's the attendees.
You have to accept it. So sometimes that's a glitch. So who is it we're elevating or not elevating?
Michael Patino.
Oh, here he is. Okay. All right, Michael, if you can hear me, I'm going to promote you to panelist. You need to click and say yes. There we go. Anybody else?
No, no one else joining me from my office today. Thanks.
All right, great.
That
You're awesome.
Valerie's able to do this before you leave.
Before I leave, what?
To make sure that he can share his screen,
Okay,
and for the presentation, yes, he's coming up.
there you
All
go.
right.
All right, you know where to find me.
Thank you, Mark.
Okay, so that was the trick. I needed to instruct you to accept it. So two-way street. And I believe you can proceed. And you heard Chenault's instructions, correct?
Yes, I did. I will be brief. This is a project 241 West 4th Street, 10th Street on the left in this plan, Charles on the right. The proposal is for a restoration of a stoop. That stoop was removed, if the I cards are correct, in 1929 to make way for a doctor's office on the ground floor. The previous owner of this house, Gilda LaVale, her father had done that work at that time. In the interim, a number of units were added. We are now proposing to convert the house back to a single family use and to reconstruct the stoop. Unfortunately, historic photos, tax photos and the like were not available showing the original condition. So a solution was negotiated with preservationists at Landmarks and myself, my office, and we found a sort of solution that everyone was satisfied with. I'm going to jump ahead now. I will skip the plans because they're probably of not of good use to you. This is the house sort of detail of what is there now. As you can see, there's some brick patchwork where the old door opening was. A number of some other evidence of that. There's, in addition, there's a fire escape which we propose to remove. It's no longer necessary for single family use.
Is that for us or for staff?
Pardon?
Is the fire escape for us or for the staff to approve?
The fire escape was not part of your
Right. Okay.
went to you. I was just mentioning it just to sort of. Here's a elevation of the proposed house. So all new window replacements with an appropriate window restoration, new front door, new stoop, new gate. And I will just skip ahead here. This is some restoration for the facade and that relates to the removal of the fire escape I mentioned. And I think this is probably an important one. This is a streetscape diagram. 241 is in the center. It's the one that is not a photograph. The rest of this block has, as you all are probably familiar, a similar sort of aesthetic. The houses were built around the same time. They have, most of them have a piano nobile entrance from several steps up from the sidewalk and a secondary areaway down to the basement entrance. And we're proposing to do something very similar to our neighbors on the block and, you know, sort of generally around this whole neighborhood. Up above, I have some additional, you know, sort of door details. There is a kind of playful, eclectic door style throughout the neighborhood. You know, we had some more eccentric options. We settled with Landmarks on something a little more modest. This is a little bit of some existing context, immediate neighbors, just again, a little more about the immediately adjacent homes. And then a little more detail of the house itself, the kind of non-ahistoric entry portico that leads to the basement level, which we will be removing. And here, just a little more detail on what we plan to be doing with this new stoop, new areaway, and new front door. The application is approved at Landmarks. It is approved at Department of Buildings. It is pending a Department of Transportation interagency review. One of those elements was sent to you, but we have a favorable opinion from that agency as well, and we they take a bit longer to get through their process. So we expect some sort of approval in the next 2 to 3 months from them.
And
Yeah.
we always accompany these applications with a separate resolution directed to them saying that what we have approved, we approve to have a revocable consent. So that will double insure for you since it's underway.
I appreciate that. Yes, the revocable consent application, we started that some months ago. It only recently, with the approvals at the Department of Buildings came, it became an official application. And so we are, as I mentioned, we have a few weeks, couple months probably until we're.
They take forever, so don't be.
Yeah. And we hope to get started on some interior work in the interim, just so, the prefer not to leave a home vacant for any long period of time for obvious reasons. So hopefully we can get started with a little interior work, just to have a presence there, keep the lights on and that sort of thing. But I'd be more than happy to answer anyone's questions if you would like to present it again.
Could you just put up the drawing of the proposed so that we have it before us for the questions, thanks. Brian and Valerie?
Yes, I do have one question. I noticed a very unusual configuration for the understory or the understoop area that I don't believe I've seen the steps going down below the basement level as much as you have done, and then go back up to the basement level. And I'm wondering what prompted that.
You're right. I did propose one additional riser below. This is not something I deal with as often in New York City, but the increasing intensity of storms and the sort of repercussions of that have created a lot of problems on a lot of projects, and so we find ourselves oversizing gutter systems, drainage, Cultex when we're putting those in the in the backs of in homes, and so this is a little bit of a slight measure to sort of maybe prevent some damage due to flash storm, flash flood. But a really serious one, there's nothing you can do about that, but this may help a little bit. That's the rationale.
Well, so just follow up on that with a real quick question.
Yeah,
so you must have a drain at the bottom, at the lowest
Correct.
level.
Yes, we do.
Does that not go to a sump pump or something for any time of a type of flooding in the area?
This just drains directly to the storm. It's not pumped.
Okay. All right. So my other comment then is that I find that the gate, the fencing and the gates are very plain. I certainly see a much more ornate type of ironwork in your neighbors on the street. And the fact that this is a very, very narrow street. You're going to be reducing the actual sidewalk width, just as your neighbors do, down to less than 2 feet in front of some of the tree pits. And you really can't walk on the sidewalk. You have to walk in the street. And fortunately, it's not all that busy, but it's not an ideal condition. And anyway, back to the areaway and the extended stoop and so forth. It is creating a very crowded condition. I just feel like we would want to make those fencings and gates as close to your neighbor's type of ironwork as possible.
Well, there are sort of two questions there that ultimately tie into one. I'll just address them separately. The rather plain ironwork was the was a direct request from Landmarks. All of the more ornate proposals that I made at initially were rejected as being a kind of they didn't have any historic relationship to the house itself. So I tend to agree with you. However, I didn't have much sway in that on that front. The question you bring up about the clearance is really a very important one, and part of the reason that this is this process at the Department of Transportation is a bit longer than typical is that in general you are to provide a 5-foot clearance on a sidewalk. Now, what we've done is we have minimized the areaway and made the stoop as compact as possible. So as you can see here, we have 4'2", almost 4'2" is the kind of smallest dimension. And I will say that the adjacent neighbors have a much more grand areaway and stair, and that's where you find the 2 foot and a few inch clearances. That's the immediate neighbor to the north has quite a tight one. So you are right, but this will be the most generous width between tree pit and stoop or areaway that does exist on this particular block.
Thank you. Val, anything? Okay. Anyone in the room on this? All right, no one in the room, Chanel.
Okay. I have no questions, so. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
156 Waverly Place. I'm sorry, I'm getting the name up. John Gordon.
Yes.
Okay.
Elevate Mr. Gordon, please.
All right, he's on screen.
The application is to install a stoop gate. Continue our theme of the night.
Yeah, can we add Andrea Yos if she's available too? She's with my office.
What was the name again?
Andrea Yos Warsh.
I got her.
Are you?
I got her.
Okay.
Again, if you didn't hear before, we don't need to see a lot of examples of gates or reasoning why they're needed. We're well familiar, most especially with Waverly Place.
Got it.
Interested really in your building and
Yeah, so let me share the presentation now. Let me get rid of this. Hope you can see it now.
Yes.
So my name is John Gordon with Sook Design Studio Architecture. Also with me is Andrea Yos Wersch. We presented this project previously for the renovation of the project, but we're coming back about the stoop gate, and we made 2 minor changes based on feedback from your committee and from Landmarks. So we'll just get right into it. 156 Waverly Place, renovating townhouse in the West Village. Here's the location. It's right where Waverly changes direction, close to 6th Avenue. And here's the block plan. Here's the location on the block. Just quickly, some of the historic photos didn't have a stoop gate originally, but the existing condition does have a stoop gate, and we've as a project we've decided it's better to keep a gate in this situation. I think we all know why. As you said, we don't need to explain. It's pretty common in this area. We were gonna go with the style of the existing system because it matches closely. It's like an alternating straight spindle with a spiral spindle, and it's the same thing is happening along the stoop. So we'd like to keep the same logic of that and
And
repair.
those are original, is that correct?
What's that?
Those are original, the ones, what exists is original.
We believe it is.
It's at least historic. But
Yeah. And we're gonna add the automatic closer on the gate to make sure it stays shut. It has two fixed panels on the side, the gate, and then you can see the hinges here, and it has a latch. So we're gonna keep that as the overall approach for the gate on the stoop. And there is already on the rest of the railings of the gate, of course, to go down to into the areaway. That's existing as well. But that's completely normal and common. And I know you said not to bring, we have these examples from around the neighborhood, the proof gates. I think the other presenter had those on the map that they've shared. So it's pretty much the same set. And then the other changes, minor changes we made to the presentation. One was about the color of the proposed addition at the top. We've lightened the color up quite a bit to the material. So it's not as bold in the skyline. And then in the back, the other change we made is we switched to 3 punched openings. We had sort of a wide window system here, and now we have 3 punched windows, which is a bit more traditional with this type of house on the top existing floor.
that's it's just the top floor that's been changed, correct?
Yeah, the top floor has been changed from the previous presentation. Top of the existing, you know. So that's really all we wanted to
It's two
present.
changes. It's two changes to the previous, right?
Right.
You have not been before the commission at all. This is just with staff you've worked.
Yeah, we've only talked to the staff so far. We're
What
still
we'll do is modify the original. It's as though these two are one presentation, and we'll modify the original recommendations to what is.
okay.
So it's not that something's been changed, it's that that's what it is.
Yeah.
And that's just that. And you haven't changed the configuration of the penthouse.
No, we're not. We have further renderings and mock-up study information in here, just if you want to review those. But again, you can see the rendered color, it's lighter. You can see more renderings with the mock-up and the penthouse here, so.
Okay. That's all fine, thank you, and we'll just do this. We'll just make these 3 changes to the original.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. The next is 465 6th Avenue to legalize the facade renovations constructed without LPC permits and to install signage. When you get the whoever's going to speak from the group there, Brian, would you please just organize them at a good microphone? So
Yes. So who's here for 156 Waverly? Oh, pardon me, 465 6th Avenue?
I'm sorry, is that not the people in the room?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Paolo Paulino
Yes,
is
that's
raised
the
his
name.
hand. Do we allow to talk? And you need to accept being promoted. Okay. There we go. All right, almost unmute, and then I believe you can proceed. Keeps clicking back and forth. No, still,
Good evening.
there we go. Thank you.
Yes. So I'll be presenting 4656 Avenue with the intersection of Avenue Las Americas. This is Roma Pizza. They went ahead and did a facade renovation without permit. So today we're looking to see the facade renovation, add a new sign and an awning. So this is the existing, this is how it is at the moment. They removed the sign because they didn't have any permit.
We're not seeing your graphics.
Oh, wait a second. Can you guys see it now?
And if this is a similar size, could you just enlarge the picture so we can see it clearly?
How about now?
That's yeah.
Okay, so this is how it currently looks. Like I said, they removed the sign, and I'm gonna walk you through how it looked in the past. So this is the location. And in the past, around 1910, this is how it looked. So it did have an open storefront, a glass storefront. And then this was in 2013, where it was also a pizzeria, and it was also open. But then the previous business that was there, which is a Chinese restaurant, they closed the facade and they only left some openings. So then when Roma Pizza came again, when Roma Pizza got installed there, they went ahead and opened the facade again and added glass and a new signage. So this is what it looks like, the new sign, the dimensions of the sign. The portions that have new glass storefront, which is the street looking at Avenue Las Americas and the 11th Street. They also added a new railing and a ramp in order to access the restaurant. They also want to be adding an awning, which is going to be retractable. And the sign band is going to have linear lighting fixtures. It's not going to be illuminated. So this is another business that is right in front, and it has the same facade renovation, which has glass storefront and awning, and also the side band. So this location is here in the corner, and this is the location that we're contemplating. Do you guys have any questions?
Is the sign band presumably the original sign, the original area? Nothing's original about it.
Yeah, it's gonna be the original area.
No, is it the original area of the historic photographs, do we think?
Let me see.
Okay, yeah.
Yes,
So,
yes. And before they used to enter in the corner, but now it's more on Avenue Las Americas, the entrance.
And that's a long ago changed.
Yes.
Yeah, I understand. And the signs that are there are meant to be temporary.
Yes, they're meant to be temporary.
And how do these signs differ from the one at the bottom? Is it these same signs you're presuming to
Yeah, so this is what they had before they removed the sign because they didn't have any permit. So now they have it like this. They removed the sign. But in the future, once we get approved and everything, it's going to look similar to this.
But it's the same sign.
Yes, it's the same
Okay.
sign, the same
And-
graphics, and the same size of letters.
The great objection to before was the lighting fixtures that were there that have been removed. And what is the new lighting?
So now they want to do linear lighting against the sign. So they did remove these. Currently, they're not there. And they're also
Right.
going to be doing some cleaning
What's-
with all
what's
these
proposed?
cables.
What is the
Sorry?
lighting that's proposed?
Oh yeah, I don't have it here on my drawings, but it will be linear lighting, just on the sideband.
What kind of lighting?
LEDs?
We require that we see what it is.
Okay.
We're very concerned about exterior lighting. What I want to suggest is that since we have everything else before us, we know that it's essentially will look the way it does in the photograph before the irregular sign is removed. And if you could come back to us with the lighting fixtures and details about them and how bright and a drawing of how they'll be placed, we can do a complete one. We just can't make a recommendation without seeing what we're recommending. So we could put you on the January agenda for that purpose.
On that subject, Chanel,
Also, not only the what the pictures look like, but their specifications so far as intensity and whatnot.
Okay.
I just wonder if any of the examples of other storefronts had that type of lighting? Do you recall seeing that or having photographs of something similar?
It was actually a lighting fixture that Landmark recommended. She said to use linear lighting because before they had these, but they were removed. So I am gonna go ahead and look for specific lighting for that.
Okay, and then you could just come back with that, and you will only need to present the lighting because we
Okay.
understand what we understand about the sign essentially and the storefront. Brian and Val, do you have comments on that? It will look essentially like the picture. What?
That's all I had.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's the next applicants who are in the room. Is that correct?
Right, yeah.
Okay. Thank you. And next is 182 to 184 West 4th Street to legalize the construction of a new storefront without LPC permit.
Okay, do you have a presentation?
Well, it's on here, right?
Well, we of course, we had one distributed, but I'm wondering if we have one to present right now. Do you have your copy, Valerie?
I don't. I can pull it up. I really don't want to be the one driving it, but
Okay, can you undo the previous?
Yes.
I'll put it in the chat. You should be able to click on it from the chat.
Okay, are there any members of the public online? If not, I have my copy here.
All right, the presentation is on the screen. And I will try to move it forward, but I'm not familiar with this. All right, so.
You just go through, thanks for inviting us here tonight, and
If you two can see, I have mine, so we're okay. I don't believe there are any members of the public here.
Okay. All right.
well, there are many members of the public behind me, but
Oh, it's picked up since I looked, sorry.
So this project is located at the corner of Jones and West Fourth. It's an apartment house with commercial retail at the ground floor along Fourth. It was built in the 1890s. My clients took over what was once a restaurant bar called the Slaughtered Lamb. This is a photo from 1940. There are not many photos of the actual storefronts here, so there's actually just going to be two that you'll see. One is from the 1940 tax photo, which shows a pharmacy at the corner. And just past the pharmacy, it's kind of unclear. There's the entablature sign band past the soda fountain, which you'll see in the later slides is an existing one that was removed sometime after 1960. By 1980, it was gone, and the entire facade had been changed to lower level. If you go to the next slide. So we worked with Landmarks and staff on this for quite some time. So this is sort of a screen bomb of the facade because we couldn't find a closer one, and we sort of to the right is a close up of our storefront past Sheraton Square. So it still sort of shows the.
I don't think you're sharing the screen. I think we can see it here in the room, but someone is texting me saying that they can't see the slides on Zoom. So if you go to Zoom, share screen.
This one? No.
Well, I know if you go to the Zoom button and yep, click on that. And then click share. And then click that. Yep.
So how about?
Well, you have to,
Oh, okay.
yeah, I don't think it really presents from Zoom. I mean, from.
Right.
So our next slide after this. So you'll see that on the right-hand side, there's a mixture of storefront and solid at the base of this building, but you can still see the entablature going across to the right-hand side of the sign band that was still here.
Okay.
All right, this is a designation photograph and the description of the building.
All right.
And this is the restaurant that was in the space previously, and the one that's actually still shown in the 1980 photograph. So when my clients came to this space, they were attracted to this site, one for the corner entrance, and the other for this idea of having operable windows at street level to sort of have an indoor-outdoor sort of vibe of the space and the context of the sidewalk and the street. So when they looked at this, they're really looking at refurbishing this as an existing storefront, taking off the embellishment, the decoration that was put onto it, put in new windows, and kind of create a more complete storefront that would be more compatible with the building itself. So if you go to the next shot, so that's what we found, though, was unfortunately, as the contractor was working on the interior, the storefront essentially was destroyed by moisture infiltration, and there was really nothing left of it. It was totally deteriorated. So as we were demolishing the interior, the actual exterior of the building just came away by hand removal. The 4th Street or the Jones Street side just fell off. It was essentially applied to the existing masonry. So working with staff, we formulated restoring the Jones Street side, which is now restored. All the doors, all the openings have been restored. And our actual storefront now, which the original one wrapped all the way around, is just where the traditional storefront of this building was, including the entrance to the apartment. So we can go through these couples. So this is just the neighborhood, different corner bars and the diversity of what's in the village. Okay, so the next one. Excellent. So actually, this kind of brings up the, so one of the issues with in discussions with landmarks was the fact that our existing storefront didn't replicate the standard storefront that's under landmark approval, which is sort of a show window. Ours was really a pub with windows and a wall as opposed to this. So this is the White Horse Tavern, which is actually, these are original storefront windows that were in here, made up of numerous stores that used to be here and became one bar. But it's a very unusual situation. So if you go to the next slide, this is sort of their inspiration. No, of course, this isn't in our landmark district. This is London, but it gives you the vibe of what they were looking for. So they really were looking for that corner entrance. And on this one, the corner entrance is phenomenal because when you go up 4th Street, you're kind of going up at an angle and it looks like the bow of a ship sort of coming at you. But they also like the vibe of this indoor-outdoor, of windows being open, of people looking in, of sharing activity from the street level inside of the space. And actually they're very successful at that today when you look at the space today. Let's go to the next slide. So this was the elevation along 4th, where the windows that were originally there in the slaughtered lamb version, which was the prior restaurant, have been enlarged. They're still operable, and we've created transoms above each. So the actual amount of glass area is quite large. Inside, you see out of the whole urban landscape, and when you're outside, you really get the vibe and the feel of the bar in the interior. The next one is the Jones Street. So all of the storefront was removed from Jones Street from the original one, and all the windows and doorways have been restored to where they were originally, including some of the stone masonry decoration that was on it.
And what is the gate of the fence? And looks like a gate on the right.
Yeah, that was existing and we hadn't changed it. It's been there.
And is it an area weight or a sunken area?
It's an areaway to the cellar, correct. It's very tight to it's 36 inches away from the wall. So, next one. So we were looking for the entablature because there's very little left here. So when we took off the facade, we actually found 3 cast iron columns that were buried in the walls, which we brought out and preserved. But we also found this entablature because we were looking for something a little more hefty than what was typical village sign band, because the building just sort of was, since you're not just seeing the building from a facade, but you're seeing it in 2 elevations, it definitely has a more weightier feel to it than your typical storefront facade. So just by chance, at the very end of the building to the west, we found a piece of the original, about a 1-foot section of the original entablature, which is the rest of it's gone. So we used that as our model for the topping off the storefront, and we buried a LED light at the bottom of it just to glow that part of the sign band without having signage, essentially. The signage is very subtle. It's on the windows itself. There's no real sign, and probably no one will be required because it's already become sort of a known gathering place in the village. Let's go to the next. That's not quite the finish. We have the finished on the next sheet, but that's as it's come forward. That's our corner entrance. That's the subtle signage that we have. It's lit on 2 sides. The Jones Street side is all back to brick again. If we go to the next one. There are the cast iron columns, the apartment entrance. It's just been joined to the other two sides. All the windows are operable. We go to the next one. There's a shot of an open establishment. Get a feeling for the kind of warmth and the gathering place this is in the neighborhood.
Will there be signage in that?
No.
Okay. And that the lighting is strictly the one in the bottom trough?
And
Other
that's all
reflection.
reflective. It's all reflective light.
Okay.
I'm sorry, is that the last slide?
Yes, yes, it is.
Could we see it was early on, a picture, sort of an overall picture of what it looks like now, I think would be a good place to begin. Okay, are there questions from you all? Brian?
Well, so to what extent will there be signage? I mean, I see the park gate is just above the door or in the door,
Right.
and the windows says something else, not the name, not the.
Well, it's part of the branding of the restaurant.
There's
It's
a logo, but
transom,
I don't
correct.
see the word park gate again. Okay. And so you're not planning to add more signage?
Not at this time.
Will there be an awning?
Well, we were talking about it, but I'm not sure. The owners are right behind me. I'm not sure.
Well, I mean, we were kind of waiting to see how things went with the community board
Right.
before we, took it upon ourselves to make any further changes.
Mhm. Right. There was an area above the transom which was designed to have an awning housing if we ended up doing awning.
Is that a principal building entrance there in
That's
the
the
middle?
apartment. That's the apartment entrance. Yes.
Between two
Right.
cast iron columns?
Right.
Okay. Oh, I was wondering, you're so close to having an ADA accessible entrance, but you keep that one step as an obstacle, and I'm wondering
Well,
why.
we have a door on 4th Street, which is the RADA entrance.
Sorry, so on
To
the
the
far right
Right.
is a secondary entrance?
Right. That's our wheelchair accessible entrance.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, like a lot of properties, they're always built up. The actual foundation stone is above the sidewalk.
Yes. Okay, you want me to move to any other image, Chenault?
It looks, I guess it looks too new, but we have to assume that the white will diminish with it's a very white. I'd like to look back at the lighting.
The last slide.
Is there anything that you can point to that resembles this in the neighborhood?
Well, the entablature, the total top entablature is what we
I'm not
refer
saying about the lighting.
No, but the crown of the facade is what we discovered. We sort of rebuilt that as what we found on the building.
No, I understand the architecture. It's the lighting I'm speaking about.
No.
It looks somehow very whatever era diners were. Or it doesn't look like that. It just seems to be a bold lighting without respect for the architecture. We'll discuss this in the business session, but it's somehow
Right. So the good thing about LEDs is they're so flexible. So both being dimmable and also when you're taking pictures of LEDs, they're very distracting to the lens and sometimes show up more boldly in the photograph than they actually are when you see them. But this certainly can be toned down because I can see at the bottom portion of it, we could certainly put a lens on this and tone it down quite a bit.
I think that would help because
And it would be much softer.
the architecture that's been discovered, what it's doing is turning into an almost neon band across.
Right.
It's simply the intensity of it.
Right. I mean, this could be toned down quite a lot.
Any question, Valerie, you have anything?
No.
Okay, I would like to just go back to some of the examples, and everything is nice historic colors. It's muted. It's got some patina to it. Even our local shops have, well, there's so much more variety of color and character to it that I think we're missing an opportunity to pick up on some of that and make this less garish, less stark. We typically don't like to see a pure white. It's just not a historic presentation for a storefront like that.
Even the slide that was just up the upper left, that sort of more creamy colored was. Well, this is what's before us, so we can, in our recommendations, we can come up with some modification, perhaps.
Okay. So we have David Osborne raised his hand. If there aren't any more committee questions.
Are there people on the online public who'd like to speak? If so, raise your hand.
Seems like it. Let's see here. Bring that back up. This thing is in the way.
I'm sorry, Brian, are you seeing people or?
Okay, I'm asking Mr. Osborne to talk.
Hi, thank you very much. Apologies, I can't be there in person, but I had to work late, so I'm still in the office, and due to the nature of my job, I can't be on camera. Apologies.
Speak a little slower, please. It's just a bad connection.
Yeah, sure. So I live actually just adjacent to this building, and I came across these gentlemen when I was walking by, and it was being built because what was previously there was an absolute eyesore, and I took personal offense because it had a British flag outside, actually. Nonetheless, living adjacent to it, on your lighting, I don't think that photo does it justice. It's not at all garish or too light, and I wake up every morning at 5:15, so I go to bed quite early, and it doesn't protrude through my blinds. I would also point out there is a coffee shop that I shan't name on that exact road that has lighting 20 times lighter. And there's also other establishments around the village that are a bit garish in terms of their light. So I do appreciate you pointing out that fact as somebody who's lived in the village for over 4 years now. But what I would say is this is a really nice community place. I know there's some establishments that reside in the West Village that probably offer to the wrong crowd, which was aforementioned by other people on this call with gates and so on and so forth. But I cannot advocate enough for this actually bringing up the aesthetic of the village, because the place that was there before was a degradation to what was a beautiful village. And I'm so glad that these gentlemen took it over and they've turned it into what it is. So I just wanted to comment saying, look, I live adjacent to it. It poses no, what's the correct word? It poses no eyesore to me. And I don't really think those photos do the the lighting justice. It's not that fluorescent. It's a bit more warm than that.
Okay, thank you. Are there others that wish to speak?
No, it does not seem like there's anyone else online, but there may be people in the room. Is that true? Anyone want to come up and speak?
Hi, thank you for having me. I would simply echo. My name is Greg Wands. I've been a longtime resident of the West Village. I would simply echo what the gentleman, David, I believe, who was just on, said. The photographs don't do really justice to what the, let's say, live presentation is. It's a very subtle and nuanced approach to design and lighting. Also, I can speak personally for the gentlemen who own it. They've been longtime members of the community, members of the hospitality community, and in the West Village, as in most neighborhoods in New York, that becomes really a part of what the community vibe is. And I think that these gentlemen represent that aesthetic and that philosophy and sense of community quite well, quite responsibly, and with a certain sophistication. Thank you.
Thank you. And anyone else?
Sure, yeah.
All right.
Do you want to come and sit down?
Yes, please, so we can record you on the mic.
Sure.
And state your name.
Hi, Benny Harrop. I live directly across the street from 182 West 4th Street at 175 West 4th Street. I've been there for the last 20 years. That building, when it used to be the Slaughtered Lamb, I think was a sort of a low rent Kmart Halloween disaster and an embarrassment to everybody who lived around it. It attracted the wrong crowd. There was constant drug dealing on the corner. Since these guys have come in and opened the park gate, I've seen that whole bad element disappear. I think the facade is subtle and fitting, and it goes with the intent and the vibe of the village. And I'm really happy as a long-time resident that this has happened right on my doorstep. So I can't say enough to support them, and I hope you guys do as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, one more call.
Hi, my name is Gordon Lawrence. I've lived across the street 60 years now. I'm echoing everything that everyone has said about the previous element and bar that was there. It's a vast improvement. I guess you'd have to come see for yourself, but if you'd ever walked by the Slaughtered Lamb, you would have noticed drug paraphernalia, people urinating, defecating in the doorways. So this is just a major upgrade. And as I live down the street, I see it every day. There's nothing wrong with the lighting. I mean, I suppose we can argue about the tone of the whiteness, but that will fade in time. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Okay. One more.
While we're at it, I don't want to keep repeating myself.
All right.
My name is John Elabassi. My family owns the building. We've owned it for about over 20 years. And, you know, again, for the sake of not just repeating, but the previous establishment that was there was awful. It was awful. I couldn't wait to get rid of them. And COVID finally put them over the edge. And I was so happy that I got these guys. I took a chance with them. I don't know what they were going to do, but they did a great job. It's such an upgrade. And I know Mr. Forgot what his name was, the gentleman on the screen, was talking about the lighting and the color, like it was white. It's not that white. It's off-white. The photograph that was up on the screen, it just didn't catch it. And like, I forgot who said it. You got to go by there. You got to go by there and look at it. It looks great. It looks fantastic, in my opinion. And the crowd, the business, the people, it's just such a positive thing for the neighborhood. I'm just so happy that these guys took it and did the job they did. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that's everybody here in the room.
Okay, we'll go to the last one then, please. 184 7th Avenue, and the person is?
Also in the room.
Oh, okay. The application is to legalize the painting of a wall mural on the facade and the installation of an awning.
Give me your name.
I have my hand raised.
You do. Okay.
Yes.
Allow to talk and promote you to panelist. You have to accept it.
Okay, great. Can everyone see my screen? Awesome. Hi, everyone. I'm Ellie Choi, and I'm the co-founder of Little Sweet Treat on 184 7th Ave South. And today we're here to discuss legalizing the mural facade and the awning of this unit. And so to give some context, this unit is right on 7th Ave South, kind of sandwiching Greenwich Ave and Waverly Place. So that's the area right there. And to give a little bit of context, it is kind of nestled in between apartment buildings and larger restaurants and other small businesses on the street as well. And then moving forward, just kind of looking at the different historic conditions of this specific avenue. As you can see in this specific 1967 photo, which I will zoom in on, you will see that this street specifically has always had pretty large signage, really fun signage, as you can see with this 5% West Side Savings Bank. It's fun iconography, just a little bit more eclectic and exciting. That is kind of a big part of the village's history. Here as well, in 1931, we see similar signage. We see just particularly large signage, especially with the sun-kissed oranges, also just really vibrant and fun and bringing a lot of excitement to that specific avenue and the neighborhood overall. Finally, taking a look at it in 1940, you'll see that in that specific area, you have big signage with the gift cards and this signage to the right as well, which isn't particularly legible in this specific photo. But as you can see, that kind of vibrance signage has been a big part of the history on this specific avenue. And so now when thinking about kind of it's still historic, but the more recent conditions of this specific unit and this specific street, taking a look at 2011 and 2013, you'll notice that in these Google Maps images, this unit has actually always been up for lease. Truly, this lease was always kind of seen as undesirable. There's always been kind of graffiti and trash around it, and it just didn't really have its place in the neighborhood and on that specific avenue. So you'll see here in 2011, the for lease sign. You'll see here in 2013, it is also shut down. In 2019, this was open, and you'll see here that there is that striped awning that is very reminiscent of the awning that we currently have on this unit. And then most recently, this unit was a convenience shop that wasn't doing the best activity, which is why they shut down. But as you'll see, this specific unit was just not properly taken care of and not aiding to the vibrant nature of the neighborhood. We see there's lots of graffiti on the walls. There's a lot of random stickers, really just kind of, and odd thumb in this otherwise amazing street. And so that brings us to today, where we have a fun red and white striped awning that is not only reminiscent of the unit in 2019, but also of neighboring businesses, which we'll go into further later in the presentation. But it also is something that is aesthetically pleasing. It's visually pleasing. We worked with another small business owner who has grown up in New York City and is a part of the neighborhood. And we worked together to create something that was vibrant and that was indicative of kind of the energy of the neighborhood and what residents have wanted, especially during the time of us getting this unit and starting work on it. So many residents, especially those who have been around for 50, 60 plus years, walked past saying, finally, we're getting something that isn't a convenient shop, that isn't a vape shop, that is actually adding to the community. And once we did open, those same community members did come by to the store and talked about how they felt so excited that this candy shop was an addition to the neighborhood, that it got them out of bed, provided them with an activity to do, and overall was a welcome needed change, not only for the West Village overall, but this specific avenue. So I'll pass it over to my colleague, Jack, to discuss the work completed.
Perfect. Yeah, no, I appreciate it. So my name is Jack, co-owner of Little Sweet Treat. So I think Ellie hit it really well. When we took possession, there was graffiti on the walls. It was in yellow. There were stickers or something all over the walls. It was in poor condition. The landlord was really looking for someone to take it over and uplift the space. That was really important to us. We ourselves have been in the West Village for 5+ years, love the neighborhood. It's kind of a big passion for us. And so thought about what is a fun way to be, bring attention and excitement to the neighborhood. And that's what we tried to do here. I'd say when creating this mural, when creating this awning, we were actually, I think it's actually historically forward from back to the 1930s and 1940s. You'll see, and Ellie, I think it's helpful to scroll down to some of our precedents. There was a good stream in the 1930s of actual very similar creations. I think the one thing they all have in common is that they're all buildings that are single story. They don't have anything above them. They're all freestanding. They're all very specific in where they sit. They all leverage that space to create eclectic, vibrant, fun, engaging marketing, all sitting on 7th Ave South. They are also all, and actually it's clear in here, they're actually all, and especially in the right two examples, they were food, beverage, retail, hospitality. The Nut Club was a food and beverage space that was there for 20+ years. And then to the right, Rikers was a fun diner, coffee shop, etc. That obviously created what is a huge painting, different stripes, and even has a wonderful cow on top. So really fun, engaging creation. And really for us, that's kind of what we took and some of our inspiration when thinking through our mural and our building as a whole. I think the most recent example is actually Caliente Cab, which was there for a meaningful amount of time. Obviously, they used a large part of their landscape and even put a taxi up front. And then obviously across the street from us, back in 2009, before they built what is the new building across the street, they had a really fun Marc Jacobs mural. And if you look back, that's actually changed over time. So for us, we took kind of that fun, whimsical, eclectic, vibrant inspiration and tried to put it into what is Little Sweet Treat today. I'd say it has definitely bared fruit. There's been a good amount of coverage on the space. And I think the one thing that's true is it definitely gets a lot of people back in the neighborhood, back on 7th Ave South, in a building that historically has remained vacant. And actually, I think in early 2010 was knocked down and rebuilt to try again. So I think, that's kind of been our thesis and what we tried to build today and what we put here. I'll pause there. I think this is the current examples. I think a good call out is Fellini, which is 174, where 184 is sporting the striped awning just south of us. is two boots who has a very fun, colorful building in their space, and obviously a mural like kind of signage. And then Village Cigars, which has obviously been there until just recently, has the very red, eclectic, exciting building with a lot of personality in it. But I'll pause there unless there's any questions.
Okay.
Are you saying you're finished? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Would you all like to comment?
Well, I would like to comment that it's very interesting how this little shop has seemed to emerge after it was once part of a continuous one-story stretch along the avenue there. And then when that was dismantled and the new building put up, then this was kind of left over and the side wall was exposed for well, not exactly the first time for you, but recently. So it is certainly see the transitions and the changes that have occurred over the years, and appreciate all of the examples of signage. It's also an example where one photograph looks very bright yellow and the other looks like a tan.
Sure.
Like a tan brick or something. So that can be deceiving too. It's hard for us to always see the difference or know the difference and exactly what we're looking at. But okay, that's for me. I think that's no other real comments. Val?
I just say you show up on my For You page all the time, so I'm very familiar with your journey, and I think this is just a formality of you're in a historic district, and we obviously understand. I understand. I'll speak for myself. That is probably just something that was overlooked. So
let's go back to the image of your job, your project, and then if anybody else has comments. Okay.
I can say that it, in fact, is more the brightness of the previous condition than the way it looks in the photograph of the present condition.
Yeah, in this comparison, you mean, Chanel?
Yeah, that it actually is as bright, or nearly as bright, not quite the same yellow, but its brightness is bold and forward, and much less pastel than the picture shows.
All right, should I ask anyone in the room if they have any comments on this one? No one in the room, Chanel.
Okay. Then we're finished. Thank you very much.
We have a few hands.
Yeah, there's a raised hand. I guess I'll start with Ann Mitchell-Tree.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Just let's go back to the Fellini on, I think it's page 8. Yeah, I'm just saying that I like that awning. I think it's a little steeper grade than yours. And the bottom ruffle, the bottom is the red. It is not white. Capiche? And I think that that kind of awning might look nice. It's just a little bit a darker, a little bit more mysterious than that the white that you're using. I do like that Fellini awning very much.
Thank you. All right. And let's see, I'm trying to go back to this, and Serena Kana.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, yeah, I just wanted to say that, I lived in the West Village. I spent a lot of time there. And I love the Little Sweet Treat storefront. I think it's so welcoming and fun and joyous, and it really does, in my opinion, fit in with kind of the eclectic nature of West Village. I very, very recently moved from West 4th Street, and I would walk by the storefront like all the time before Little Sweet Treat was there. and it never ever stood out to me. And it was kind of just, if anything, an eyesore. And I think this new storefront, the life and energy it brings is now something I love to see and pay attention to, and it like genuinely like brings me excitement to walk by the store. So yeah, I just wanted to give my 2 cents. I love the storefront. I think it fits in beautifully with the neighborhood, and it'd be a shame to see it have to change.
Thank you. All right, and now Maddie Down.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, hi, my name is Maddie Daum. I have lived in the West Village for over 5 years, and I just wanted to say that I have been so excited and pleased with the exterior of Little Sweet Tree. My parents also lived in the West Village for over 20 years. And when they came to Little Sweet Treat, they said it reminded them of like all the charm that they always loved about the area. I think that the mural and awning completely blend into the neighborhood and that like historic charm. To me, it feels like it's always been there, and it's such an essential part of the community and what I love about the West Village. So yeah, I just wanted to share like how much it means to me and also to my family.
All right, and thank you. All right, then Emily Vermilia.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. I'm also here in support of the storefront for Little Sweet Treat, kind of piggybacking up off of what the previous two people mentioned. Similarly, my grandmother, I live in the West Village, and my grandmother grew up here actually, and she came to visit recently. And I specifically brought her past to show Little Sweet Treat as a new addition to the neighborhood. She said it reminded her of kind of the vibrancy of what the village was when she was growing up here. I also think it's wonderful that we have a small female-owned business in the neighborhood. I like that it shows kind of the store's personality from what I've seen Little Sweet Treat post on social media. And I think it's a more than welcome addition. So happy to share my support.
All right, thank you. So everybody, it's raised their hand. Chenault.
Okay. Thank you all. I want to say one thing about the correction of violations. We are not in the business of being the punitive police. We regard any application that comes this way as what would we have said had it came through the proper channels and asking for approval. So that's the limit of how we comment on these. We'll now have the business session, and anyone is invited to stay who wishes. Only members of the committee may speak at this time unless we invite someone to speak for clarification or something of that kind. So thank you all who have.
Okay, that's it.
I'm sorry for a little bit of rumble at the beginning. We just missed the person who usually handles the Zoom at the last minute. Okay. Perry Street, the famous house in the village gate.
I did not hear.
Thank you.
I did not hear
Thank
this
you very
one.
much.
So.
Thank you very much.
And in fact,
I'm sorry, what?
I would say, Brian, that it could have one of our
I did not hear 66 Perry Street, so
Okay.
I came right at the end of that. So
So we're okay with it, yes, Brian.
I'm sorry, what was that,
We're
Chenault?
okay with the gate for Perry Street, 66 Perry Street. We didn't have any objections.
We did not.
Self-closing, which is a big thing. It was a very clever idea for one so wide that only half of it has to operate, except to do it manually. It would be a vast thing swinging out if it were the whole, and even the two would be awkward for passing. So it's a good solution.
Yeah, the hardware, the self-closing hinge was very important, I thought, and it's going to be a heavy gate, so it needs a
That's
sturdy.
something that we have really fired universally about them now. 241 West 4th Street. I gather you didn't object to the area where you were just questioning why it was peculiar.
Well, I thought it was very well done, well designed. It is a very crowded street, sidewalk, and it's a tough one, but.
Yeah, they showed well that they had thought through the minimizing the difficulties as much as they could. And we're getting so many restored stoops. I think that's a
and stoop gates.
241 West 4th Street. Oh, that's just a revocable consent. Waverly Place. All a stoop gate.
Stoop gate.
Yeah, at least this one had an original stoop gate, and they're just recreating it, but so that's somewhat unusual for the village.
A big stoop.
Well, this block has few houses left without. It apparently is more of a difficult block than we might think.
So on this particular application, since the roof addition is so obviously apparent from the public right-of-way, you can see the whole thing from the street. And I guess it didn't come up because that is not part of this particular application.
But there's an augmentation to the previous application is how we're treating it. So all of our previous things.
Stand.
And didn't our previous comment?
I mean, well, we objected wildly to the visibility in the previous, when they presented before.
Okay.
The modifications that have been made and they won't change what we said before.
All right. Well, I think the modifications are an improvement. Both the color on the roof structure and the windows on the back were improvements. So I would
ask about that, the windows. And oh, got a spell check. The penthouse color is flightier. And the gate is the only addition. So I'll just rework the previous one to include these three things.
Okay.
Then
Pizza.
6th Avenue, 465 6th Avenue. The pizza.
Wow.
The sign is big and bold, but it's on 6th Avenue and it's
Yeah.
inside the sign band. But the real problem before was the lighting. It was like lighting to work on the highway at night with. It would have scared away the bad people, but they could be scared with a little less. And there to return, so we'll know what lighting's proposed, that it's something acceptable.
Yes.
West 4th Street is the restaurant. We got a lot of testimony that didn't have to do with the with the landmarks considerations, but it seemed to suggest that it improved the neighborhood.
Yeah, and it also told us from firsthand experience that our perception from the photographs of the lighting that, or even the white paint were not a true indication of the tone. And so that was helpful.
I've had occasion, on account of the late night danger of the north exit from the West 4th Street subway station to get into another committee's business. I've been habitually taking the south exit and passed by, and I have not noticed that it was objectionable.
Mhm.
It's too bad that the I passed it maybe 5 times in the last 2 weeks, and I have never noticed anything about it. So I would
That's
say
a good sign.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
A wall mural. It's a sign. The candy store. It is very, very bold, whether that's good or bad.
Yeah. You notice it sticks out.
It gets back to what we would have would we have asked them to take it down if they produced take it down in color, in tone, in vibrancy, if it had come. And I would say that we would have. The way it's painted, it would be possible to just tone it down a bit without repainting it. And I would suggest that that would be in order.
Like a more desaturated yellow.
Well, let's see.
And otherwise, the awning, again, is something I hadn't particularly noticed.
Yeah, the awning wasn't that much. Yeah, the awning, I didn't really, it's pretty, I think, discreet compared to.
Yeah, and when I went by there
I never
today,
noticed it because I was looking at the wall.
Yeah.
Chanel, when I went by there today, it's very diminutive, and the coloration that I got
For your photograph.
from looking at it on the street and also from the photograph, it's a tan looking color to me. Not a looks.
I don't feel strongly that it's too bright. I'm just wondering what we would have done.
Yeah, I think the only part that's white is at the top, like it's tan in color on the fabric. It's just whatever where it meets at the top between the stripes and the name it appears to be whiter, but it's nothing, to your point, like it was, I would say that the yellow is maybe more prominent. It does stick out among the
It's an unusual, you're talking about the painting.
Yeah. Right? Or just the yellow in general. I mean, I think that's their brand color. Like I said, I've watched this journey on TikTok because I get served the videos probably geographically or whatnot. So I think that is their brand color.
Brian, were you talking about the awning or the wall?
You're at the awning, right?
When I was there today and took a picture, I saw and I documented with a photograph that the coloring was muted. It wasn't a bright white on the awning, and it wasn't a bright yellow on the wall paint. So between the two of them, I felt that it was subtle.
Maybe a sunny day makes it much brighter.
But could be, but yeah, it was a miserable day.
Also going to diminish rapidly with the traffic in its vibrancy. I have never heard the word exciting about the two applications so many times in one evening.
Oh, she's quite effusive on her videos. It's quite, I can see it. There's you know, what we're talking about is completely divorced from the business of it, but she's quite effusive and it's a neat story. There's a reason why it's taken off the way it has. I think she just opened up a spot in Rockefeller Center and has e-commerce. So it very much has drawn in people to the neighborhoods compared to what was there. But yeah, the yellow does stick out. And I'm surprised they really went a lot in on the awning. I think a lot more than that really is not the issue. I think it's the yellow being the issue. And I don't think she really stated that it was their brand color directly. I just happened to know that. So
the awning is perfectly, and it was very much like the one that they showed from
yeah.
And they solved they did have the ADA entrance, so that was something that was brought up in that. Is there any objection to any of them? I don't have one.
No, I don't think so. Ended up being pretty much okay with maybe a couple of comments, but suggestions, that's all.
And in the Perry Street, I think we'll say something that is big. That curve is very, very nice with that building. I don't think we've seen one like that before.
Yeah, that's right.
It looks like it's designed rather than bought at Home Depot.
Mhm. Yeah, very
famous one that on Waverly Place that had been installed without a permit.
Yeah, that's right. The opposite.
It every day when I use the north exit, and it doesn't meet properly. So it's like that instead of like that when it closes. So maybe they'll correct that.
I was very appreciative of the fact that Architectural Ironworks still had the mold for the original, the previous fence and so on. That's a great resource for a lot of people, I think, in the neighborhood.
Yes, and it's a house. You can see why the house was used to represent an East Side high stoop house.
Excuse me. Thank you.
And even more remarkable that it's not original. Thank you. I'm sorry about if I'd gotten word about Eugene sooner, we could have been better organized.
Oh, that's okay. Brian did a great job.
Well, I had to learn as I went. But
you're now an expert, so
practice makes perfect.
And he ran it good in the room.
Thanks to Mark's help, as always. He's always there.
I think we don't have anything outstanding. We spoke about other things.
Yeah,
that's right.
One that Mark sent around something from Instagram about the Lapito Center, but I think that was old news.
Oh, I didn't think I saw that.
It was kind of consolidated. It was a report of things we already knew, but it was put together. It's rather nicely done from the West Side. Is your newspaper or the other one?
Well, we had something in there at Village View. My newspaper had Lapito Center. It's been covered by others.
Line with links to various reports that I think we have all of them.
Yeah.
At any rate, it's not that there's new news about it.
Yeah. Right. And the other thing is that Mark sent us a warning to come with sweaters because it was cold in here, but I found it to be very comfortable. Yeah. Of course, I did wear a sweater, so.
Same.
Oh, and I will not be at the meeting on Tuesday, and don't seem to have anything terribly reportable.
Yes, I'm going to sit in for you.
Good.
If there are questions about landmarks, one of you will be able to answer.
Yes.
Sure.
Good. Thank you. Good night.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
And Brian, do you know how to shut it down?
We'll do it.
Yes.
We'll end the webinar for all. Bye, Chanel.
I'll leave and have a meeting.